Disclaimer: the views expressed by the host of Insider Exchange do not necessarily represent those of our clients, sponsors, partners, or guests and should not be considered investment advice in any way. Similarly, the views and opinions of our guests and clients do not necessarily reflect those of our hosts or on our platform. Nothing shared on this platform should be read as constituting investment advice of any kind on the part of Insider Exchange. Any of its hosts, guests, partners, or sponsors trading and investing carry varying levels of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please ensure you fully understand the risk and take appropriate care to manage your risk. We strongly advise that you obtain independent financial, legal, and tax advice from regulated professionals and institutions before proceeding with investing decisions. Can I go and play now?
Yeah. How was Durban?
Durban was great.
Hot curry, cane and cream soda.
It rained, but it didn't matter.
The sharks, it never matters if it rains.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question for you about Durban. The ocean.
Oh.
There's
the big blue thing.
The big blue thing, right? Mm-hmm. There's a portion of the big blue thing that's bluer than the rest of it. Yeah. And it looks like there's a line almost, right? What is that line? What's happening there? What's going on? Why does it get bluer? Is it because, I have a theory, right? I've had to go through a couple of theories. Is because from that blue line coming towards the shore, you could probably still see a lot more of the bottom of the ocean. And therefore, if sunlight reflects off of it, it does kind of look different.
So it's normally one of the rivers has been in surge and bringing dirt down.
No, but the line runs horizontally.
Yeah, because the water comes out and goes...
And it forms a perfect line.
Yeah, temperature inversion. So you shouldn't swim in the brown stuff.
Well, the brown stuff is what's nearest to the land.
And it's on the right side of the shark net. So
yes.
So we swim in the brown stuff.
See? Still not convinced. No. I went to go see Durban for myself. Still not convinced. Let's kick things off. Let's get the show on the road.
Unsettled 98, our current shot collapsing.
Privilege of welcoming one of our good friends into studio.
So not even Buffett listens to Buffett. Sue me, China, if you must.
1 or 22 on AC, but you're not getting that at home.
And there's quite a bit to discuss.
The stock is not cheap.
The last podcast I did.
Introduce me.
I'm Jimmy Mugaha.
And I'm Simon Brown.
Welcome to Insider Exchange.
Welcome to Insider Exchange. Welcome to the show where our producer seems to hate us, seems to have it out for us, and wants us to fail. Straight into useful updates. We have 8 minutes. We have 8 updates. And if Simon and I don't get through it, we've been threatened on multiple occasions with some severe punishment. So, straight into Oh, wow, look at that. Ghost producer doesn't care. Already.
Stop talking. I mean, talk.
Biggest news. Iran invasion. The United States...
Oil is 80, gold is 5,400, Trump has deranged 1,055 days.
Oh, that's probably the most painful number there, is that we have more than 1,000 days to contend with this again.
He has bombed 8 countries, started a couple of wars, kidnapped a president, and he was the peace oak.
And he demanded the peace prize.
I had a thought, right? So he's the anti-woke, anti-trans oak, and look what we got. Could we please go for the pro-woke, pro-trans lady? Can we do a swap?
At this point, I don't think it's... and this is a bold statement. I don't think it's worse. I don't think it's possible to get worse than President Trump.
Nope.
On the global stage, with everything that's happened,
my niece could do a better job. She's 16, even.
Let's leave that on that note.
Paramount beats Netflix. So Netflix, I think, were clever. Netflix kind of wanted this at the right price. Remember, I mean, this Warner Brothers was a R700M share, and Paramount's paying $31. I suspect they're a little bit overpaying, be it as it may. I think Netflix is fine. They've got their own content. They're making their own studio. They can still do a deal with Warner Brothers. Winner.
Yeah, you're not out of pocket $30-something odd billion, right?
$100 billion odd.
Well, with what Paramount paid for it.
And everything. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know if I'm particularly sold on Paramount wanting to own everything.
Yeah.
Just given Paramount's ownership structures in and of itself.
I agreed on that. And Ellison, which was also TikTok. Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think the OKI was Zoltzman or whoever. He was the CEO of Warner Brothers. Man, that oak is done a deal. This is literally, in April last year, it was sub $8.
Speaking of deals, the smelters in South Africa seem to be getting an even better deal. Remember when they had 87 cents from Eskom? which was under
do
a
we pay?
preferred pricing agreement,
$2 and change.
R2 something per kilowatt hour. They pay 87 cents per kilowatt hour. So already they're about 70 to 80% cheaper than the South African consumer. It seems as though Eskom has come back to them with a revised offer of 62 cents per kilowatt hour, even cheaper than the 87 cents, because the smelters said, well, 87 cents is not cheap enough for us. We need an even cheaper rate. So my question then becomes, if you can sell to the smelters, granted they account for quite a big portion of the volume, but if you can sell to them under a preferential pricing agreement of 62 cents per kilowatt hour.
So, and the deal is you're making the power, so you may as well use it. Sell it to someone. 5 cents.
Otherwise it
60
sits
cents
there.
is better than no cents. I think it's 62 cents. Peter Bruce over the weekend was saying Eskom makes 1 cent profit. That's fine. 1 cent they didn't have before.
That's still profit.
Okay. PRC CIO gone.
Chief Investment Officer, Kabelo Rakotso, he was on suspension. Remember that suspension you and I discussed that was unexplained out of nowhere? Confirmation came through last night from the PIC as well as from the outgoing Chief Investment Officer that they had reached a mutual agreement to terminate the arrangement. Now, that could mean a number of things. It could also just mean we don't want to talk about it. It's sad to see him go. I mean, he had just stepped into the role. He wasn't there very long. And it was all off the back of something that he had allegedly done with some other deals or not, and all of those sorts of things. But we never got the chance to clear the air there or clarify what happened there. But now we don't have a CIO at the largest asset manager on the continent, rather.
Yeah, and I'm busy that weekend.
Simon's busy. You know what? I might be busy too.
Online gambling. I don't know what the update was.
Your favorite update, your favorite space. The online gambling market, we didn't get tax updates in that respect, but we do have a national gambling board that is potentially coming down hard on the respective gambling bodies. So each gambling body within the province regulates the companies registered within their respective provinces. The National Gambling Board is saying that potentially they would want to look at more stringent requirements and regulations for the respective provincial bodies to see how they could better regulate the gambling space. Interestingly enough, like I said, we didn't see anything in the budget, and that's what's in our deep dive. We're going to be breaking down the budget conversation. Nothing mentioned there around the gambling tax, even though it had been rumored to be coming about.
Yeah, and I agree that the boards, provincial boards, must up their game. Okay, Ekapa and Ekapa. So I thought Ekapa's the T-shirt people?
No, that's Kappa, Kappa. Ekapa Mining is a mining house.
So close.
Very, very close. Not too far off. Ekapa Mining House is a company that's suddenly filed for liquidation. They're in the diamond game. At the same time, the Botswanan diamond business, Botswana Diamonds, I think, is the company name, has filed for a name change to Botswana Minerals because they're now expanding their mandate to beyond just diamonds. Ekapa Mining, also off the back of the mining, the diamond price volatility, now filing for liquidation as a South African business, so in danger there. At the same time, De Beers still looking to finally get that sale through, potentially with...
Still been the operative word. Remember we said we thought Botswana should go and buy, was it Jimmy Choo shoes?
Yeah, the diamond game is just crazy at the moment, clearly.
Diamonds are terrible. They're not forever. They're fake, and
diamonds aren't forever. Wow, that's a classic line.
It's a terrible industry. It was lovely when you could be a cartel, but you're not anymore. Vukile goes big in Spain. I got to say, Lawrence Rapp, gently, right? He does South Africa. He does clever stuff in South Africa, regional malls, township malls, all that sort of stuff. No big, no worries, no office. Then he goes little Spain, little Spain, and then he's like, boom, buys all of Spain.
Yes, 6 billion rand mall in Madrid. Heart of Spain.
I asked Nick Kunze this morning. I said, can we, do we trust them to do a good deal? And Nick's answer was yes.
Look,
they've been there.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
And this begs the question around the companies that choose to expand offshore. The retailers haven't had the most luck, the likes of Spa and that. Yeah. The property guys have been loving it. Because I suppose you're just the landlord, right? You're not the tenant.
Yeah, no, good point. The property oaks have. And it's quite simple. If the yield don't work, the yield don't work.
That's it. So for them, it's less about operational costs and other things. A property is a property.
But if yield ain't... Okay.
That's it. This is the one thing that's been kind of standing out compared to the other guys, compared to the other companies that have chosen to go offshore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then Nvidia. I hold Nvidia. I thought the results were kind of knock it out the park, like plus 70% here, plus 60% here, blah, 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 blah. And the market was like, no, we're going to sell your ass off.
It's concern, Si. It's concern around, yes, that is what we guided for. That is what you said you'd give us. And yes, you've given us that.
You're giving us more.
But where does it stop?
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop unless you're in the middle of a war.
Oh, you see, the problem is it does stop. I remember, Cisco promised us it didn't stop, and it did stop.
Markets have
memories.
There you go. And with that, we conclude useful updates. Look at that. We have 10 seconds left. 12 seconds. What do we do with our time now?
We should get donuts or something if we finish on time.
There we go. We deserve incentive. Ha! Useful updates done and dusted. We move on to our deep dive. We are unpacking the budget speech that was tabled last week by the Minister of Finance within a national treasury. We're going to be taking a look at some interesting insights from that national budget and what it means for South Africans. So we found the money.
Dead. Okay,
but we found the money, Si. Last year, we didn't have money, so we had to increase VAT.
Had no money.
This year, we've got an additional 20 billion from SARS collections, but suddenly, we've got more money to increase social grants. We've got more money to increase every other line item of expenditure within the government, and we've managed to stabilize debt to GDP. Where did the money come from?
Under the couch.
Oh, okay. That explains a lot.
I don't know.
Okay, we're done. There's the deep dive. Okay, bye.
No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there was the extra 20 billion odd, and that explains the fact that they adjusted for bracket creep. Okay, so that's cool. And then everything else, I suppose they're just working. So they're working on the theory. The budget's not fully funded, I suspect. I suspect the theory is that we'll see some GDP, and they're hoping that we get a little bit extra revenue, and from VAT and CIT, and I suppose probably PRT, personal as well. And that will then fund the budget.
Building a budget on hope is somewhat of a dangerous thing to do, Si, especially because part of that hope relies on...
Yeah, it's how most people build budgets.
Hopes and dreams and a little bit of prayer. Mm-hmm. Prayer can get you very, very far, especially if you're building a budget. Okay, so fine.
I know.
It baffles me because... By 2028, 2029, according to the budget, right? So effectively over the medium-ish term, expenditure or spending, government spending is expected to go from 268 billion rand to 291 billion rand where it relates to peace, security and governance. So border management control, SAPS, all of those things, which they each did get allocations in this budget. I think it was 700 odd million or 900 odd million for the Border Management Authority, just under $1 billion there. $1 billion for SAPS and a little over $2 billion towards the Defence Force, almost $3 billion there. So yeah. We're increasing that spend, which nobody has any issues with because tackling things like illicit markets, organized crime, that is the duty of every country. We do absolutely need to do those things. But we're able to allocate more monies towards these things. So again, the question, where is the money coming from? And why didn't we have this conversation last year with the VAT increase? Well, we did eventually.
There are a couple of fundamentally different things from a year ago, and I know it's just a year. The one is commodity prices, and that's not just gold. I mean, PGMs came to the party late as well. I know it's not big, and a lot of it they've actually got some losses. So it'll be a while before they pay SARS, but they get the 20% dividend tax. We're off grey lists. We've got upgrades. We've got petrol down. Inflation is under control. Rates are, 100
Sorry, those things don't add more money.
No, but they create an environment which can add more money, i.e. growth.
Okay, so they help you plan that budget.
A year ago, we were hoping for 0.8 growth. Now
we're aiming for 1.6.
Which is... but it is exactly double.
So this is the thing. We're always aiming for high growth targets, never really attaining them, and always revising them down in the end. Even though you and I have spoken about this before, saying that to achieve 2% growth as a country is very easy. We are very much in the space where we're capable of hitting those numbers. But let's break down the budget. Let's go into some of the major changes that we've seen. You touched on one of the big ones was bracket creep. And I think we should look at that in the context of bracket adjustments being made, but also adjustments to tax-free savings accounts and adjustments to RA contributions, because they all kind of affect
to everything. So
Yeah.
I was on a panel with the deputy
finance minister, Dr. Masondo. Yes,
No, you've confused me.
Dr.
No.
David Masondo.
No, not for 100 years.
Okay,
well,
that's the deputy finance minister.
Then there's two of them.
Yes, there might be two. Yes, there might be two.
The DA man.
Yes, there might be two, because we did.
Superin.
Yes, we did do two. Following the government of national unity, there were certain portfolios that did obtain a second deputy where we previously had one. You are right. That is the other deputy minister of finance. I apologize to the deputy minister for forgetting that he was there. I remember his appointment.
So there's been all of these stealth taxes, and I know because me and a chap in Cape Town at AGM have kept like a list of this thing going forever and a day. Things that in most cases haven't been changed since 2012, in some cases since 2008. And it's like, for example, the CGT and the exclusion from 40 to 50. If it had kept with inflation, it should be 76, but hey. CGT death benefit from 300 to 440. Primary resident CGT exclusion from 2 to 3 million. Now that doesn't impact anyone unless you live in Cape Town.
Single discretionary allowance. Sorry. Double. I just had to remember that. I was just like, that was a big one.
I know. I'd like you. So, okay, so you'd the one because most of us are like, yeah, a million was actually enough, guys.
No.
For Jimmy, he needs the whole two. Okay.
Well, but think about it in the context of a family, right? Think about you and the missus, right? Yeah. Where you previously would have 2 million rand to move offshore between the two of you. You now have 4 million rand to move offshore in cash, aside from all the other offshore investments and things. So if you are looking to diversify into an offshore portfolio, that would definitely be something to potentially look at. And I mean, that's a huge benefit. Are we just throwing all of the benefits at consumers and taxpayers? I can't help but think that's it.
So you're right. So because annual deduction, you mentioned RA from 350 to 430 or 27.5, whichever is lower. Tax-free contribution 36 to 46 a year. So these are things that have. So the tax-free changed in 2020 that the ANC government has ignored, and my argument,
and ignored for a long time. Let's not say ignored for one budget.
14 years.
That's it, right?
In the short
and
period.
Suddenly overnight.
And you know what it is? And as I said, so the deputy minister, the one I saw, put all this stuff on the table. He's the one like, hang on, guys, we need to do this stuff. Because the ANC would always make the argument that, like, you know what, your CGT exclusion is irrelevant when I got 35% unemployment. And it's an argument that's hard to
ignore.
You know, and really the capitalists must go capital of themselves and leave the ANC to help the everyone else. And you can just see the new people around the table. Fundamentally so. The really biggie, which is not really, but VAT registration threshold last changed in 2008 from 1 to 2.3
for businesses, for small businesses. Yes. The voluntary registration or the mandatory registration, rather. If you had R1 million of turnover or more, you would be obligated to register for VAT. Now you can go up to 2.3 million before you have to do that. And alongside that, for businesses, the CGT exemption on sale. Previously, if you sold your business as a small business owner, older than 55, you would then be exempt from the first 1.8 million rand of the sale, and anything above that would be taxed as a CGT. Now it is the first 2.7 million rand, so an extra 900,000 rand, almost a million, has been added to the exemption. So if you intend to sell your business and retire, you finally might have a little bit more in your pocket.
Yeah, and these are
very small things, but easy things to do, right?
They're very small, but they kind of stack up,
and they mean a lot to the South African who is overtaxed, overburdened, and trying to manage,
and trying to create some wealth and get to retirement and not be a burden on state, fools, friends, family, and retirement and all of that sort of thing. And hopefully, we're now in a scenario where these numbers go up by inflation every year.
I don't know, because
I don't know either. But
so while you were in Cape Town, I was in Durban hosting a budget breakdown of my own, and one of the questions that came up there was: these are all great and lovely measures of relief, but are they sustainable? Are we going to get into a situation where this is only happening because it's local government election year, and going into next year, we see this not happen? Because we've seen it happen in the past.
Yeah.
We've seen the government go into, especially the ANC government, go into an election cycle and start to make things look pleasant for the voters, and then the very next year come down even harder because whatever reason. So not saying that that's what's happening here, but
if you'd asked me that question on Thursday morning, I would have said, no, we're good. Things have changed a little bit since Thursday morning, or Friday morning, whatever. So yes, I mean, is there a world in which, so I mean, there is a world in which oil goes to 100, our inflation goes to 8, our prime goes to 12, and everything is off the table, and we are back at VAT increases.
That's it.
That world still exists, but there is equally a world where that doesn't happen. Now, to be clear, I mean, oil's at 79, and who knows where it goes next. But the path forward, which this budget is plotting, is saying, you know what, we might get some more upgrades this year from the rating agencies. We'll still be junk, but we'll be heading in the right direction. We're going to get more fiscus collection from enforcement and from our precious metal miners, because those are going nowhere. And we're going to get some growth of 1.6-ish, maybe even at some point we might in the last quarter hit 2. Those sort of things is what this budget is looking for. And I'm not stressed by that. I don't think that you want to always be doing a budget for the worst case scenario, particularly when there are green shoots that you can tangibly point to.
Okay.
And to be clear, these might be famous last words. I mean, I am not.
Let's, you know what? Let's err on the side of optimism for now, and we can always, like they do with growth estimates, revise those back down to realism if we need to, right?
Yeah, and because there is a world. I mean, we'll get a sense in the midterm medium, but via the MTBPS in October. But there is if stuff's going wrong, I mean, relatively quickly you can flip things around. Throw 4% VAT increase.
That's it. It's easy to have those conversations at a later date. What's interesting at the moment is more than R1 trillion committed towards infrastructure expenditure over the medium term, more than half of that going to SOEs. PRASA being probably the chief recipient there from a rail perspective, SunRail being included there from a roads perspective, water infrastructure, the transmission grid expansion plans, all of those seemingly for the government becoming priority to the extent that R1 trillion needs to be put out. Now, we also alongside that got confirmation that so far the infrastructure bond has raised almost 12 billion of that. So there is appetite to invest in the infrastructure, but judging by this, you also sense a bit of hesitancy around whether or not that deployment of capital would be used efficiently and effectively, again, given the past track record of some of these SOEs.
I mean, yes. Yes. And capacity.
And capacity.
I mean, not just at SOE level, which in of itself is a question, but where are all our construction companies who are going to build this stuff? They're busy losing money in Australia.
Filing for bankruptcy and liquidation and all sorts of things.
So
capacity is a good question.
Some nice big numbers. I remember sort of lead up to the World Cup, Trevor Manuel was throwing money at the problems and things were going lacquer and everything. And then then the numbers kept on getting mentioned but never spent. And that's my yes. I mean, do we have capacity here? We'll find out. I mean, the short answer is we don't. I mean, we don't have it at SOE level. We don't have it at construction company level. We are short of capacity. I suppose the question is how much can we spend and how much can we scale so that next year our capacity is better than this year, and so on and so on.
Speaking of spend, I want to look at one thing before we get into I want to look at two updates, right? So firstly, social grants increasing to just shy of 300 billion rand. And so that includes the old age grant, the war veterans grant, the foster care grant, the child support grant, which is now almost 600 rand at 580 rand there, that last one. The social relief for distress grant, the 350 rand that we started in COVID, that looks to be forming the basis of the basic income grant at the moment. Whether or not we will be able to sustain that, because at the moment
you can't take it away. I mean, when Ramaphosa proposed it, at the point I tweeted, I said, welcome to
basic income. But we've all agreed 350 Rand is not enough of a basic income grant. But how do you go from 350 Rand to 2,200 Rand in a country where you have almost 30 million plus people on social grants, right? Now, we've discussed this before on the show. We've discussed on many an occasion that the old age, disability, war veterans grants, those are grants that are necessary. We do need to look after certain members of society. But we've also discussed the fact that the working age population and the workable age population of the country should be given jobs and not 350 Rand, right? Conversation for another day. Social grants are on the up. They've been increased ever so slightly in terms of contributions, though, and we're sitting at just under 300 billion Rand in grant spend at the moment. The one thing I do want to take a look at, which has quite the bearing for our audience, more so than perhaps some of the other conversations, crypto regulation. That was an interesting announcement because the government will now govern cross-border capital flows into crypto, which now, in simple English terms, means if you're moving money dealing with crypto, you're now subject to exchange control regulations under the South African Reserve Bank if you weren't previously subject to that. This is in addition to the FSCA's regulations on crypto assets as financial products. So now moving crypto assets in and out of the country is going to be things that affect potentially your single discretionary allowance that we spoke about, your investment allowances, it's basically treated as a cross-border transaction.
And so it should be. I mean, crypto is, whatever it is, whether it's a currency or a commodity,
stable coin, whatever you're holding,
whatever it is an asset. And unfortunately, essentially, the problem with crypto was in the early days, it was really, really fun for nerds and black markets. And then it became really, really fun for nerds and policymakers. And the idea that it is, government can't get my crypto. Government, that blockchain, we can see what
they can see everything.
It's a top tip. You want to do anonymous money movement? Yeah, Randellas, those things they print out at the Reserve Bank in Pretoria. And
that's it. Cash remains king. Very, very interesting. That's another conversation for another day. Let's wrap up the conversation, perhaps, with a look at the government's announcement that 12 billion in savings would be identified from underperforming public transport grants, things like BRT systems and all of that, and the fact that they've been able to terminate around 35,000 grants by introducing biometrics and verifications into the SASSA system. 12 billion. That's...
No, I'm with you. I mean, really?
So we can find the money. If we want to save the money, we can save the money.
Some of it is just, as you say, it's the BRT. I mean, Durban's got their Go Mover thing, which was started in, a decade or so ago, except nothing's happened. And to be clear, Durban had the minor buses since the 80s, so, which are go and fetch the money and say you'll spend. You know the corporate thing, hey? Like the last month of the financial year, they quickly spend the budget so that they don't.
So that it doesn't roll over. We've seen that happen. We've seen that happen.
So same sort of thing here. Turns out there's money not being spent. Go fetch it.
That's it. Sai, I want to get your thoughts on something that I know I spoke to, who did I speak to? I spoke to Isaiah Mhlanga, chief economist at Rand Merchant Bank. But it was also the view held by other economists and the World Bank in the form of the IMF, if I'm not mistaken, that we need to introduce a fiscal anchor. And government committed to having that introduced by the midterm budget policy statement. Now, in simple terms, what would that mean for how the world views our debt?
So, the idea here is, and I know what so the idea is that you kind of promise / commit to certain things.
You commit to a number or a region or a condition. You commit to something.
And there might be a few of them, and they'll be around things such as debt to GDP or whatever the
or
point
commit
is.
to, yeah.
So something like that, and you say, line in the sand, never shall it be crossed.
Okay.
Until you got to cross it. And then you're like, line in the sand, We are crossing it.
We're erasing it and we're moving it further.
Because, I like the idea because it tells you what the thinking is. It gives you something which government can be accountable to, and it gives you something to which government will be scared to bump up and get too close of because you can almost wave it as a stick at them. The truth of the matter is, if we've got a global financial crisis or whatever the case may be, and government needs to obliterate it, it gets obliterated. So in which case, my argument is then, does it serve a purpose really beyond some prettiness? I would put it this way: if you had to say to me, should we or shouldn't we? Let's do it. Why not? And I know what the arguments against it are, as I've mentioned a couple of them already. But I like the idea of saying, here's our red line in the sand, and here's where we promise not to go, assuming all things being equal. Maybe that's the caveat.
Unless you're the United States of America, in which case you raise your debt ceiling 80-something times in 80-something years and just run with that, I suppose.
Correct. That's
which is effectively the line in the sand that we are talking about here in the South African context, is to say we will not let the situation get worse than this without serious intervention, or this is kind of our hard stop, so to speak, right? Yeah. So fiscal anchor, great for international investment, great for confidence in the South African market and the South African leadership to manage to rein in budget spending and all of that to that point. But again, as you said, entirely movable.
Entirely movable. And then why? Because it makes some bankers and...
It does. It makes capital markets a little happier and allows for them to deploy with a little bit more confidence. Not sure how much confidence, but that's where we're going to leave the deep dive. Folks, we'd love to get your thoughts on the budget speech. What were the standout points for you? Did you feel that this budget delivered for you, particularly as a South African? Do you think this budget was something that South Africans can be proud of, that will alleviate the pressures that South Africans are feeling? We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments around that. And we're trying to make sense of things in our Make It Make Sense. We have a very big local news to try and make sense of, almost 2 billion rands worth of local news. So we're going to start with that. We're going to see if we can make sense of it, and hopefully we can. Are you ready, Si?
Sure.
Right. First thing to try and make sense of is a 1 billion rand settlement that was supposedly agreed to between businessman Kolofelo Maponya and the PIC, related to a number of different things. The businessman alleges that the PIC has not honored their part, but let's take a look at the billion itself. 480 million rand of that had been previously advanced to one of Maponya's consortium companies to buy a 25% stake in SA Home Loans. Another 362 million rand had been advanced to a different investment company, also controlled by the same businessman, to buy Daybreak Foods, the Daybreak, yes.
Chickens.
Right. Subsequently, that one, interestingly enough, the company that was advanced that loan defaulted, and so the PIC then took back ownership.
That's right.
So that's what we've been seeing from a PIC perspective there. The other 185 million rand related to an affordable housing project back in 2017. So these were the deals that involved about 700 million rand being advanced to this company or to these various companies and this businessman by the Public Investment Corporation. Now it seems the same businessman is saying that the Public Investment Corporation has not honored their settlement agreement of 1 billion rand in which the PIC was set to pay him for, I suppose, these transactions and other transactions. So you were loaned money. The PIC does not have said money back. And as part of a settlement agreement, there's 1 billion rand that the PIC said they would then pay you. This is obviously likely due to the fact that some of the valuations. So,
well, sure.
The shareholding in SA Home Loans, for example, is worth 1.5 billion. So that would explain why the increase in amount.
Yeah, because I've got to say that seemed like a cheap 25% stake. But anyway, be that as it may,
1 billion rand owed by the PIC, and the PIC. Well, the PIC's got the money to pay it off. They just haven't honored their end of the settlement agreement, according to the businessman. Same PIC that just recently got rid of its CIO, as we spoke about earlier in the show.
It shouldn't be a mess. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. And that's why I stay away from unlisted, but then I don't have 1 billion. But if I did, I probably still would.
I like unlisted. I'm not against unlisted if you can find good companies, because I think that's how you truly unlock value without the pressure of...
Then you've got to come as private equity.
Yes, obviously, 110%. And the PIC...
As the mindset of private.
Yeah, and the PIC has a very different directive there because they are the custodian of government employees' pension funds. They manage 80% of the GEPF's assets there. And so they have to be very careful about how they get into these arrangements and agreements. But much like the agreement we've seen in the past with the likes of AO Technologies, where you invested 4.3 billion to recover 600 million, there are questions that are undoubtedly being raised. Do we make sense of this?
No.
We don't?
We don't.
Okay.
No. No.
Look, folks, we don't have the best track record. Perhaps you can help us out there. If you can make sense of these numbers and you can you can explain them to us, we'd love to hear your thoughts around that. The next one.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to love this one.
I think really hard.
700 million rand is the amount in question. It is an amount that was given to 3 service providers by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS. The 700 million rand was given to these 3 companies to distribute funds to students and effectively to do the job of NSFAS. So NSFAS has a job to take the money that the government gives them, look after the students, pay for student fees, distribute monies in allowances, residence, all of that. They outsourced that to the tune of 700 million rand to 3 service providers. If we're outsourcing what your only objective is, why do you exist?
Was the 700 million the fee or the money to be outsourced?
Spending on the administration. The government is spending 700 million rand on the administration of NSFAS. So the government of South Africa is spending almost R1 billion
to distribute the money, and then they go
on the existence of NSFAS.
Sure.
Only for NSFAS to then go and outsource their job.
Which means that I'm assuming NSFAS was saying that someone could do it better and cheaper, which then raises the obvious.
And this isn't a number we've thumbsucked. This is a number that the Minister of Finance, Minister Enoch Godongwana, has said, and I quote, "In fact, we are spending 700 million rand just on the administration of NSFAS."
No.
And he also said, I don't see value. I do not see its value as an institution.
Then all you do, then cancel it and give it to some person in the education department and get Claude Code to write you a little app.
Half the time, the NSFAS grants aren't arriving on time and other questions are being raised. But do we make sense of 700 million rand?
No, it seems like just to give people money. Come on, give it to me. I could do it for
we could do it for less. We could do it for less. Jimmy and Simon, Jimson, as we are known, will offer to do this administration for less.
Yes. Accurately? Maybe not.
No, we'll offer to do it accurately too.
Even accurately.
Whoa. Less and accurately. Bold statements, but we can do it. Well, we have 700 million reasons to do it, so we'll get it done.
We'll do it for 699.
We'll do 695. Discount for today only. Final update we're trying to make sense of is 50 million rand. Now, in the context of the other 2.
I was going to say, you're coming now with a small change. This is a
small change.
Literally under the couch.
Small change. Well, it might be under the couch because it is 50 million rand that the South African or the SA Army Foundation is alleged to have spent improperly, embezzled, who knows, the different words are being used here. But effectively, some of that money was used for the credit cards that were issued to generals, and some of these generals used the monies to then buy cars. Some of the monies ended up in personal bank accounts of the senior management of the foundation. See, your surprise is not there because we've just gone through almost 2 billion. So 50 million means nothing.
I mean, my thought was that surely the generals are like being army stuff and they haven't got time to go and buy cars and stuff. But apparently, I don't know how the army works. And to be clear, and I know this is a 30-year-old story, we invaded Lesotho and lost. And I doubt that we have a better army today than we had back in 1998 when Mangosuthu Buthelezi sent us into Lesotho.
Wow. That's okay. That's quite the statement. Interestingly enough,
don't come for me, army. I haven't got 50 million.
But if we do get this NSFAS administration contract, we can talk. This is off the back of an investigation by the Financial Sector Conduct Authority that then uncovered that the senior personnel at the foundation were involved and all of that. So the FSCA was part and parcel to uncovering this misappropriation of funds. But again, 50 million rand in the context of the other two numbers seems rather small. It's not.
It's not.
It certainly isn't.
It certainly is not, because I'll offer you 50 million and you'll take it in a second. And the next second you'll be phoning your boss and saying, busy.
I suppose we don't make sense of this either?
No, except that, like even our army generals are robbing us, man. Like, come on, guys. Yo.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
No, next time we'll come with some easy stuff.
Yeah, we'll find easier things because make it make sense doesn't make sense. And on that note, we're going to leave the show. Before we head out, we're going to leave you with an unfiltered opinion of the week, because that's what we do here. We love to give you those. This week's unfiltered opinion is catfishing. Sai, have you ever been catfished by food?
Yeah.
What happened? I'm worried.
It's so sad. I ordered a bunny chow, and it came without the bunny. I just got the chow. Which, to be clear, is a bowl of lamb curry. Can't argue. But there was no bunny chow. It was just the chow.
Surely, if the menu item says bunny chow, a core ingredient in a bunny chow alongside the curry is the bread.
I mean, the sambals, whatever.
Everything else. You can leave out the plastic spoon if you want to. You can leave out whatever goes with it. The condiments, the coke, whatever.
Needs to come with the
Surely,
chow.
the two primary ingredients.
There's a pretty picture.
The filling and the bread.
Yeah. Spice Sisters. Where's my chow?
Oh.
Yeah.
I have been catfished by food as well. I remember a time, and I think this might have been something that catfished a lot of South Africans, was KFC. They did the donut crunch burger thing, right? That was the one thing where they put a chicken fillet between two donuts, glazed it all lovely, put out pictures. It looked fantastic. Well, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Story for another day. But you order it, it comes, and it looks nothing like that. That was the one incident. The other incident also relates to KFC was, does anyone remember the chicken skins? We were promised crispy chicken skins, buckets of crispy chicken skins. People waited outside KFC stores in horrible weather conditions, leaving families behind, all for the sake of chicken skins. And I have not seen a single person post after the fact saying, hey, I loved my chicken skins.
Yeah, you got scammed on that one.
Food vendors, restaurateurs, marketing companies, because you're also involved in this. Stop catfishing us with food. That's the unfiltered opinion of the week. Investing isn't hard. Just try it.
Disclaimer. The views expressed by the host of Insider Exchange do not necessarily represent those of our clients, sponsors, partners, or guests and should not be considered investment advice in any way. Similarly, the views and opinions of our guests and clients do not necessarily reflect those of our hosts or on our platform. Nothing shared on this platform should be read as constituting investment advice of any kind on the part of Insider Exchange. Any of its hosts, guests, partners, or sponsors trading and investing carry varying levels of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please ensure you fully understand the risk and take appropriate care to manage your risk. We strongly advise that you obtain independent financial, legal, and tax advice from regulated professionals and institutions before proceeding with investing decisions. Can I go and play now?